This is VRR, and you are listening to the Virtual Robots Revolt podcast. Hello. Well, thanks for tuning in again. Today we're going to be discussing more than just one topic. In fact, I have around 8 bullet points I have written down here that I want to talk about today. First of which, I'm really anticipating the new PlayStation 4 system update. It's also, you know, going to be for the PlayStation 4 Pro as well, which I'm really excited about. The PS4 Pro system update has, everything that the stock PS4 update is going to have, as well as, the PS4 Pro will be able to handle the new boost mode, which will let things that weren't already patched, let them operate at a faster speed. Games can run at a more stable frame rate, so on and so forth, as well as Um, God, what is the other one again? I should have had that in front of me. But it'll have external hard drive support. PSVR will be able to play 3D Blu-rays and stereoscopic 3D. Um, yeah, but also, I mean, that boost mode, that's what I'm really looking forward to, as well as that 3D Blu-ray technology for the PSVR, since I have that, and I have a projector that handles 3D. But it's, then I have to turn that on and everything. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing what it looks like in the PSVR because I have a bunch of 3D Blu-rays I still want to use. And they still sell them. It's surprising they still sell and make 3D Blu-rays, but do 4K TVs even handle 3D anymore? I mean, I guess somebody's buying them. I guess that, yeah, it's kind of interesting that they're still making them. I understand some TVs might still have that capability that they still sell, but yeah, it's just kind of funny that they're still making it, and they even make a big deal about it, like in terms of Star Wars and stuff. But that's one thing I'm really looking forward to, which should be coming out tomorrow, the new system update 4.5 for PS4 normal and the PS4 Pro. And another thing I want to talk about is I was actually able to test out the Nintendo Switch. I didn't get it, because I've spent so much money on so many other things. But I was able to test out my friend, my coworker and my coworker slash friend's Nintendo Switch, and I really enjoy it actually. It's a really cool little nifty system. It's a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. For some reason, I was expecting it to be bigger. I don't know why. Maybe because I was looking at all the ads on like TVs or like like on my TV for example, and on my big monitor, and they make it look a little bit bigger than what it actually is. It feels like, like some ads like the Switch will take up the whole page, but in actuality, like the thing is still very wide. The Switch is very wide when you add the controllers in on the side, but other than that, I mean the system is pretty small. Like it's not that much bigger than a PS Vita, honestly. Um, so, but I mean, the thing looks great. The screen looks really sharp as that's the first thing I was expecting to see was a very sharp screen because it is 720p and that's better than the PS Vita. So I was expecting that to look really good and it does. I haven't seen it plugged into an actual TV yet, but I can imagine that it still looks pretty good too. But that's really not the point of the system. The point of the system is that it's portable. And it looks great. I've seen Bomberman on it, I've seen Zelda, of course, and I've seen Fast RMX, and all three of those titles look amazing on it. Specifically, Fast RMX and Zelda look amazing on it. Bomberman, that looked really good on it too, but Bomberman's never been about graphics. That's always been about gameplay, and the gameplay was there. It was definitely there, and you know exactly what you're signing up for with that game. It's a great, system multiplayer game. I didn't go online with it or anything. I played my coworker with it and the bots as well. On it, and it seemed really cool. Because when you die in that game, you can also come back as like somebody who's around the screen and starts throwing bombs into the game, and somehow I'm not sure if it's like you kill one of the people in the arena and then all of a sudden you get to play as a normal person again. So in that sense, maybe it's kind of like Call of Duty's the zombie mode, like you kill a person, then you can become human again. I think that's how that worked again. But anyway, but Bomberman's really cool. Fast RMX is cool, and yeah, Zelda looked really nice. That would be the reason to buy the new system. And if you don't like Zelda, then honestly, I don't think you should buy the system, at least not yet, because people have been reporting a lot of problems recently about the Switch. A lot of people have been saying great things as well, but in my opinion, if you're not buying it to play Zelda, you're buying it for the future, just go ahead and buy it in the future because there's a possibility in the future, like even just a month or two from now, you might get a better system. It's possible. I don't know yet, but it's possible. So I would just hold out as long as you can before you want to go ahead and buy this system. And they'll be out there. You don't worry about it. They're going to keep making the Switch for years, for at least the next 3 or 4 years. So don't even worry about like, well, maybe they won't have it at that point. No, they will. They will. They're going to keep making this thing. It's not like the NES Classic or something. So anyway, but yeah, I would recommend the Switch, but it's not for everyone. It is not for everyone. And it's not for me right now either because honestly, there's another thing I want to talk about. Um, I'm still kind of a Zelda noob. To date, the only Zelda game I've actually beaten is Zelda Ocarina of Time on the 3DS. That's it. The first time I ever played Zelda was on the N64 Ocarina of Time back in the day. Um, but it actually wasn't my game. It was my brother's game, and it just kind of felt like, oh, maybe I shouldn't touch it. That's my brother's game. But at the same time, I didn't get it. It looked a little bit too complicated for me. I didn't check to see what age I was at that point, but I think I was like right at 10 years old, probably when that game came out, maybe 8 or 9. I was born in '87, so whatever the math is on that. So I was already a little bit confused when I saw that game. It still looked like a lot of fun. So I did eventually I would turn it on and I was actually play as my brother's file, but I just wouldn't save it. I remember doing that a few times and I remember thinking it looked really cool. And thankfully I get to eventually play it more and beat it, on 3DS because that's where I have most time to play things is portably. So uh, I highly recommend that game, which is great. But yeah, so I have so many other Zelda games I need to play. Like I'm almost done with Wind Waker, or at least I think I am. I'm at some part where you have to get the Triforce shards, and right now I'm having to chase some kids to win another Triforce map or map to get to find the. Anyway, it's kind of weird. But other than that, it's been fun. Um, but it's kind of weird, like where I randomly get stuck in these Zelda games. It's like, really? Come on. But but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that game, and that's actually why I bought the Wii U was to play Wind Waker. Because when I saw that on display, uh, I was pretty blown away with like the art style and the way it looked on the HD Wii U. I thought it looked great. Um, and that's the main reason why I wanted the Wii U. And been I have constantly been playing this game off and on since I got the Wii U, which was like 2 or 3 years ago. But that's a great game, and I've almost finished with it. But then right after that, I have to play Twilight Princess, which I'm looking at right now on my shelf for the Wii U, the new HD one. I still need to beat that. So after I beat Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, I'll feel like I can start Breath of the Wild, whether it's on the Wii U or the Switch. I'll probably wait for the Switch, but yeah. So those are the two big Zelda games I need to finish. Also, of course, I need to finish like Link to the Past and the original Zelda, but I had those downloaded on my 3DS. So my new Nintendo new 3DS, the Hyrule Edition. So it's a very nice 3DS. So I need to play them on that, and then I'll play A Link Between Worlds and yada yada yada. But then, even with all those Zelda games I still need to beat, I just really want to beat some of these games that I've purchased, in the past year or two. because they're great games, and I just was dropping them to finish up whatever other game, like uh, the game that was constantly trying to beat for like the past like year was Alien Isolation, and thank God I finally beat it. I finally beat that game. But I had a lot of fun with it. I even thought about playing it again to maybe try to get some more trophies. I don't think I could ever platinum it because one of the platinum trophies is to, or not one of the platinum trophies, one of the gold trophies is to beat the game and never die. I must have died like, and I recorded this on my YouTube channel, a large portion of my gameplay of that game, in the 20 something hours that I played it. I probably died more times than Bill Murray did in Groundhog Day. That's how many times I probably died in that game. It's ridiculous how many times I died. But granted, I know how to play the game now and I know when I'm supposed to move, so I feel like if I played the game now, if I played Alien Isolation now, I feel like I could probably get through that game, maybe only dying 10 or 15 times, but that's saying something because before then I think I died like 50 times. But I think I could finish the game now by maybe dying 10 or 15 times. But there's a couple of parts where I guess I don't want to spoil it, but there's a couple of parts where I'm not even sure if the developers could make it out of there alive. Like that's how hard some of these parts are, and I was playing on normal difficulty. Maybe if I played on easy, I could still get the trophy. But anyway, so I beat that game. I've been having a lot of fun with the Horizon Zero Dawn, and that game is, incredible. The graphics look amazing on my 4K HDR TV with the PS4 Pro, and I bet it looks even great on like a standard piece PS4 on a non 4K TV. I bet it still looks amazing. Highly recommend that game. Um, yeah, definitely highly recommend that game. Uh, but it's I wouldn't even compare it to Zelda. It's two completely different games. And a lot of people are wanting to compare those two games because they came out basically in the same week, or they did come out in the same week. Um, but they're two very different games. In my opinion, everyone should probably play both games. And man, I got the itch. Like I really want to play that new Zelda game on the Switch, but I'm just gonna hold out. Yeah, just gonna hold out a little bit longer because I just have too many games to beat. And then I'm also looking at Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, which I never beat. I played like 10 or 15 hours of that and I never beat it. So I want to beat Xenoblade Chronicles X, Horizon Zero Dawn, and then those two Zelda games on the console for the Wii U. So I want to beat like 4 games before I get to the new Zelda. I don't think I'm gonna make it, but if I can at least beat half of those games, I'll feel a little better about myself. And the one game I'm definitely going to beat is Horizon Zero Dawn because I'm having a lot of fun with that, and it's like the perfect showcase for a new 4K TV. Because honestly, like there's not many things that you can showcase a 4K TV with right now. Like if you can, try not to even buy a 4K TV yet if you can live without it because a lot of the games aren't being made natively in 4K. Most movies aren't coming out on 4K, whether it's downloadable or on the 4K Blu-rays. So there is Netflix, but even Netflix, the only things that are in 4K on Netflix are like the exclusive TV shows, like Luke Cage or Daredevil or something, or Jessica Jones, and of course some other non-Marvel Netflix shows. Orange is the New Black. But yeah, there's not too much out there that's 4K ready. I'm thinking next year that will be completely different. But until then, yeah, there's not too much of a reason to, unless you can figure out like exact things, like whether it's Horizon or maybe you just needed a new TV anyway. And in my case, that's what it was. I needed a new TV anyway because my son decided to throw a toy car at our plasma screen downstairs and smash it into a million pieces. So then I had to bring my DLP downstairs and to use that there. And then I brought the little 42-inch up here that we had in the bedroom, but That was just a little bit too small and only one working HDMI port. But even though I had a switcher, yada yada yada. But anyway, at that point it was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and get a new 4K TV. You know, screw it. You know, I'm a sucker for that stuff. I'll enjoy it. So that's why I have one. And you know, I do recommend it for people that are you know, really wanting the new tech gizmos because, I mean, there's nothing better than watching something in 4K with HDR. Like there's nothing better visually right now. It looks amazing. Um, but yeah, so you know, that's uh, that's it about the you know, Zelda games that I still need to beat and also some other games. Another thing that I did recently, I ordered a Atari Lynx Flash cart. If you're familiar with the Atari Lynx, that was a handheld gaming system Atari released in the 80s. They actually didn't develop the technology themselves. They bought it from a company called Epix, I think. But and that's why the graphics on the Lynx look incredible. They look incredible for the time period of the 80s. Uh, Way better than anything that was done on Atari until the Jaguar came around. Even the Atari Lynx even was technically could handle better graphics than the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo to a certain extent because it could do a lot more rotations and scaling. Super Nintendo could only do that partially. I mean, they could do the Genesis and the Super Nintendo could do other things better, such as hold more data, but the Atari Lynx, it could do a lot more things visually that the other two couldn't, um, which which is one reason why I love the Atari Lynx. I've even joked around and said this is like proof time travel exists because a handheld console shouldn't be able to do this in the 80s. Even in the 90s, if this existed, I would have been still blown away. And I didn't know about it till like in the last couple of years. But I've been having a lot of fun with my Atari Lynx. I've had it like for a year now, but just a few months ago I bought a new screen for it and soldered that in, from a guy named McWill off the Atari Age forums, and I removed the old screen, which wasn't that bad. Or some of the components that was a little bit more tricky, but then soldered in this new screen, and that was pretty difficult. I'm not gonna lie, there was probably like 10 or 15 little tiny solder points I had to do, and the directions he gives you are they're I mean, they are so simplistic. They're like it that some of these directions they were so simplistic, like try to build a Lego set if they're using like silhouettes. That's kind of how I would describe these directions. Like they very crudely just kind of put, and I appreciate them putting any sort of directions. He didn't even have to put anything. Um, but like he kind of just like very like basically drew out like a PCB and then like all right put it here. I'm just like and then he put in a long paragraph the actual part numbers and it was just kind of complicated. I waited for somebody else to film a YouTube video on how to put it in. Even that guys that I was looking at, yeah, there was a couple of guys on YouTube that filmed themselves making doing the mod for it. Even those were like a little bit like, that's not exactly a step-by-step process, but at least then I could actually see which components exactly I should be working on for a fact. Because that was the main thing. I just didn't want to work on something I didn't know for a fact I needed to work on. Because some of these part numbers were like you almost had to get like a magnifying glass out to see if you are working on the right part, and not all of them are labeled. So some of them you had to rely on his little silhouette picture on the directions. Anyway, so if if you don't work on electronics all the time, I would not recommend doing this mod. Um, I actually kind of took a gamble on it because I feel like I've been getting pretty decent at it, and now I'd say I am pretty decent at it, um, but I definitely took a gamble doing it. But thankfully I was able to do it, because the screen cost like $100, so I was also worried on screwing up the new screen. but it looks gorgeous now because it's like an RGB screen. It looks way better than this other mod that I've done for the Nomad, which is like a composite connection, and that still looks great. The Sega Nomad mod for the new screen, that still looks amazing. But this one looks even better. Like I would argue the colors on this Atari Lynx mod, with the new screen, I would argue the colors are a lot more vibrant and brighter than a PS Vita or a 3DS. Like, because the colors are just so bright on it, and it looks gorgeous. And a lot of the games that came out for the Atari Lynx um, were arcade games, and they used a lot of colors, because they were trying to entice people in, and they're used to being, designing these games for CRTs, which display colors very brightly as well. So it was just a perfect match. And yeah, so since I had this new screen on my Atari Lynx, and even if you don't have a new screen for an Atari Lynx and you just have the Atari Lynx itself, the Atari Lynx, like the original screen, doesn't look that bad. It looks way better than the Game Gear. I'll put it that way. Uh, I would still recommend getting a flash cart for the Atari Lynx because there's some homebrews out there, some hacks, and there's just a lot of great Lynx games out there. And there's even like a few expensive ones. Like, thankfully, I was able to get a copy of Battlezone 2000. That's come down recently for some weird reason. Like, just it just randomly fluctuates in price. But I was able to get that for like $40 complete in box. The box was messed up, but it's still like complete in box, $40. Like just a few months ago, that game was going for 100, so who knows? But another expensive one was Double Dragon. That goes for like around $100. Randomly, it can go for lower, depending depending. But most Lynx games are pretty cheap. Uh, but I would still recommend getting a flash card for definitely recommend getting a flash card for handheld systems because you don't have all this room to bring all these cartridges around if you're doing it, portably. Yeah, like I would argue like downloadable games, maybe on the console, they're not the best, but for handhelds, I would argue that downloadable games is probably the way to go because you don't want to lose those little cartridges or whatever, and you don't want to have to deal with a whole bunch of cartridges. So if you can get a flash cart for a handheld system, I would say do it. If you can just download the games, I would say do that. Maybe, even if you have a PSP with like an entire catalog of PSP games, I would still recommend getting a PSP, modding it, and then putting your whole catalog on there. That maybe you bought legitimately, but you don't want to lose those little UMD discs. You probably want to play them digitally so you don't, accidentally lose them or scratch them or whatever. So, and that's what I would also say about other flashcards. I would recommend, uh, yeah, I'd recommend getting flashcards for all your systems, just to be safe. Maybe you still want to play your regular carts, but it's nice to have a little future proof behind there because who knows what the future brings, I mean, it'd be nice to just make sure that you still have a newer version of it, on a flash card where that'll last a little bit longer and your saves will last a lot longer. Because a lot of times the saves on these flash cards, they're using like a flash memory type of system, and those are a lot more reliable than these battery saves, like on the Zelda game from back in the day. That was on a battery. And once you change out the battery, your game is lost, your save is lost. So that's one big reason I would recommend a flash cart is to hold your saves. But the Lynx flash cart, I'm not even sure which games you even saved because there's no RPGs or anything. So I think with the Atari Lynx, the saving feature isn't really needed because none of the games really saved anyway. But still, I recommend it for the home brews at least and playing other games. Um, But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I should get my new Lynx Flash cart in a couple of weeks. I got on a waiting list to buy this thing because, on the Atari Age forums, everybody wants this thing. There's a few flash cards out there, but there's like the best one that's like can hold everything on one card. Um, yeah, so I had to get on a pre-order list, and thankfully, it came up to be my turn, so now I ordered it and it should be here soon. Um, but yeah, so you might ask yourself, uh, Billy, like, how do you have time for all these hobbies? I thought you used to be really into sports. Well, I still am into sports. I still really like sports. I still try to keep up to date. Well, the thing is, though, I only have so many hours during the day. As I'm recording this, it is 11 p.m. at night, and I was able to walk up here to start recording this at 10. So that's pretty much where my free time starts is 10 o'clock at night, for better or worse. And coming up soon, I might not even have that because I'm gonna be a new father again. I'm already a father, but I'm gonna have an even newer child, and it's I'm not even sure if I will have any free time after that. We'll see. I don't even know. Um, but yeah, so I'm still into sports, and it's just a matter of I only have so much time during the day for my hobbies, and honestly, I probably should even be doing other things besides this. I probably, I should be doing my taxes right now. I still need to do that. That's coming up. Um, but I got rid of TV, and that's pretty much the main reason why I'm not even like uh, tempted right now is because I don't have a TV plan right now. I have the Fire TV stick and I have the old Apple TV, and we just watch Netflix and we watch Hulu, and I have a CBS app for whenever we use that, and um, yeah, and oh, I have YouTube, and because I watch more gaming stuff than TV these days. So, and that's what I watch on my television now, if it's not a movie or a game. Uh, so, Netflix has a lot of great series. Um, but I would love to watch. I would love to watch the Rockets on TV right now because the Houston Rockets are doing great this season, and I am a diehard Rockets fan. So I do keep up with them. I'm just not watching all the games now because I can't. I don't have time to load up a fake stream of their games. Because if you load up a fake stream, you have to watch it live, and I don't have time to watch it live because Will's, my son is up and running around full speed. I don't have enough time to watch a live game right now, and I don't have the TV plan. And thankfully I can live without it for now. When the playoffs start, I'm gonna have to go to the bars and watch them. But yeah, other than that, and I'm saving. I recommend everyone do this if you can. If you can muster up the courage to do this, I recommend everyone just cancel your TV plan. Just cancel it right now. Because, I mean, that stuff adds up. Like when you start adding in other rooms, other like DVR units and all that stuff, like you do not need these DVRs unless you are watching sports. Completely honest. Like figure out which TV shows you like and then look up and see how they're being played other places because chances are they are being played other places for free. So but I mean, sports, that's like the one thing. Even if you get like a season ticket or season pass, those aren't broadcasting your local games. And most likely your favorite team is local. So you're still screwed. NFL, it's different because all those games are played locally on free television. But college football and basketball and college basketball, and those are all on cable, for the most part. Um, but if you can live without it, I mean, you're gonna save yourself like over $100 a month probably, and I recommend it. Um, but yeah, so I'm looking around my man cave right now, and I still call it my man cave because I have a sign outside my door that says man cave on it. So if I'm looking around my game room, uh, I start thinking to myself, what does everyone display in their like game rooms or even their whole house? If they have their whole house to work with for all their items. What do people like to display? I'm curious. Yeah, you can let me know. Whether it's on my Twitter. Yeah, I have a Twitter. It's at Big Dealin Tweets. BIGDEALIN tweets. TWEETS. I'll update my Twitter account later, but you let me know. Like, sorry, I'm getting over something. What do people like to display in their game rooms, their houses? Because I'm displaying games right now. I have like some alien NECA figures. I have old computers. Yeah, so I mean, I'm displaying like alien NECA figures. I have movie posters. I have old CRT screens. A couple of them I don't even have working. Um, yeah, game systems all over the place. Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, what does everyone display? Like, because I wish I could just pick one. If I could just pick, if I could just pick one thing, I think my room would look a lot better. But the problem is I can't. I can't pick just one thing. I love so many things. Um, and honestly, they kind of go together. I do think they go together a little bit. I think like the common link between everything here is almost all of it is retro. I will say almost all of it is retro, and that is the common link. Even Alien to an extent. That's pretty like I mean, it came out in like '79, so even that's kind of retro. Um, but yeah. Oh, and then I have some monster stuff. You see, that's where it kind of goes off the deep end a little bit. It's like, I have my Godzilla stuff a little bit, and that kind of merges with the alien stuff, but then it goes right into retro and then I have devices all over the place. A lot of wood grains going on in my room. Um, I used to have a lot more, like, I used to have a whole bunch of sport pennants up in this man cave. And that looked cool for a bit when my room was more modeled after sports and music, but now I have five pennants for the Yukon Huskies for like all their recent championships. I just can't bring myself to bring those down because I love Yukon, and I was collecting those pennants for a bit. And then I have a couple of guitars on the wall because I still like guitar. Um, but yeah, it's kind of just all over the place. I'm curious, like, if one of you guys like picked one thing, or if you picked a whole bunch of things, let me know. Um, yeah, 'cause it's a really cool thing to see people's game room or houses or man cave, whatever, and see if they have a theme going on. Because man, if you can have a theme like that's really cool to see. Um, but yeah, so and I'll see if I can get some of your answers in. I'd be really curious to read some of you, what some of your places are modeled after. Yeah, so another thing I'd like to talk about is, if you can use CDRs, or flash in a flash card, CDRs or a flash card, whatever, um, on your game systems, on your retro game systems, do you still buy the normal games? And if so, which ones? Like, are you buying the common ones or buying the expensive ones or both? Or maybe you're just buying your favorite games? I'm honestly curious because, at this point, I haven't even counted up how many flashcards I own. But I have one for the Genesis, which also means that I have it for the 32X and it works as a Sega CD RAM card, but that's different. Um, I have a Super EverDrive for the Super Nintendo. I have a Master EverDrive for the Sega Master System. I'm going to have this Atari Lynx one. I have a flash cart for the Virtual Boy. Highly recommend, by the way, even though you can only play one game at a time. And then, maybe I even have more than this. Oh yeah, I have a modified PSP, and um, Excuse me. Yeah, I've been getting over like it's crazy allergy season right now, all the pollen. But yeah, I can burn CDRs for a lot of other things. I can write my own flash, or not flash, my own floppy disks for the Apple IIs here. But I still buy games. I still buy games for these systems. Oh, and I even have a modified Xbox, original Xbox. Yeah, I could still buy games for these systems, and I still do buy games for these systems. Um, and I'm actually debating right now. Like, 'cause I honestly want to know what you guys have, because what you guys are doing, because I'm kind of like, I'm trying to just buy my favorite games, but it still comes to the point where, I'm at a store and I don't see my favorite games there, but I still want to buy something, maybe because I have a coupon or whatever, and recently I've been buying more of the expensive games. Um, one for example, I'm looking at Jurassic Park Operation Genesis for the original Xbox, which is probably one of the most expensive games for the original Xbox. And I haven't even played that game yet. I don't even know if it's any good. I love Jurassic Park, so if I didn't love Jurassic Park, I wouldn't have bought it at all. So I did buy it to play it. But, I have a lot of other great games for it, and I could have bought like 30 Xbox games for the price that I bought that Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. But I just thought to myself, it's going to be way tougher in the future to sell a whole bunch of crappy games versus one really good expensive game. It is. Like if you think about it in those terms, I mean, it's way tougher to sell a big lot of games everyone's seen everywhere versus one really hard to find one. And you might say like, well, that's that many more games that you can play, and that is true if you play them. But my backlog right now is so incredible. I named earlier in this podcast all the games I want to beat. Each one of those games I talked about are probably like gonna take me like 40 to 90 hours to beat or whatever. Like it's gonna take me a long time to beat those. So like all these other games, like I don't have that much time. So my time is valuable to me, and I'm looking at these other original Xbox games, which I still want to beat. And like Star Wars, I've never beaten the Knights of the Old Republic games, and those are long games. I'm looking at Tron 2.0 Killer App, which looks great. I definitely beat all the Halos already, except for the newest one. I want to play more Outrun 2006. Uh, and even want to play that more of that Godzilla game. I beat the one on the GameCube, but I never beat the one on the Xbox. And I just have so many games I need to beat already and need to play already. So I'm not really buying games right now just to say, oh yeah, this will, whatever. Maybe I'll play it eventually. Like no, I'm buying games now with the intention of I am going to play this within the next month or two, or else it's never going to be played ever. So that's why it's like if I'm going to buy a game, I might as well buy an expensive one, versus like 50 non-expensive ones, because maybe I'll play that one expensive one and then I can just immediately get rid of it and get my money back, versus like the 50 inexpensive ones, and now I'm stuck with that many games which I can't even fit on my shelf. And I don't know, maybe my logic's kind of flawed there, um but it's just like I don't need that many games. I don't need all these games. So it's like I might as well just be really picky and buy the expensive ones, and then if I want to get rid of them, I can. And another thing that's making me think about it is some of these games I've noticed recently, because I've only started recollecting retro games within the past like 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years. Some of these games I've looked at in the last 3 or 4 years, they're already doubling in price. So it's kind of making me mad a little bit. Like, dang it, like I should have just bought that game a year or two ago when the game was like half as much. Like I think Gigawing, the original Gigawing, was like a $60 game like a year or two ago, and now it's like over $100. and Gigawing 2 is like $250, something ridiculous. I'll never buy those games now. But yeah, I should have bought them, just 2 or 3 years ago. But no, I was concentrating on the common games first, and that's the problem. So yeah, if you want a word of advice, if you're planning on getting like a complete set or something, or if you just want to buy a game, you're trying to figure out what games to get for an old system, pick the games you want to play first. It doesn't even have to be the expensive ones, but just buy the actual game you want to play first, regardless of how much it costs. And maybe you even want to, yeah, I would even take it a step further. Buy the most, figure out what game you want to play that's the most expensive and buy that one right now because I don't see prices going down anytime soon on any games for any system. Well, the exception of like, maybe the Wii U or something, those will come down because that's it's not even retro yet. So in terms of retro, buy the expensive ones first, then worry about the cheap ones later because they'll be there. But just and make sure just follow them on eBay or whatever. Just I would that's how I would recommend it. And maybe even if you can hold out a little bit, like buy them first, but not don't buy them for a bad value. Like be a little patient, but not don't wait too long. Don't wait too long. Yeah, that's what I would say. Don't wait too long to buy the game that you want if it's an expensive game because who knows what the future is going to hold. So like I paid like I bought Shenmue 2 twice for the Dreamcast because my first one wasn't working correctly and I just didn't even want to chance it doubling in value soon when Shenmue 3 comes out. So I just, I just bit the bullet on a few of them. If I want to get rid of it, I can. Like I bought Musha for the Genesis like a couple years ago, and I just realized, what? I don't need to own this game. I can play it on my flash card, my on my Mega EverDrive. So I sold it for like the exact same price that I bought it for, which is like around $150. So I just got all my money back. It was no problem. Um, because it's really easy to sell the more sought after games. It is harder to sell the less sought after games. That's how I would recommend it. But yeah, so I kind of went all over the place in this podcast, but I just wanted to record one today. And in the future, I'll be a little bit more specific on individual topics, or you know, maybe once or twice a month, I'll have an episode like this where I kind of just go off on a whole bunch of different topics. You let me know. Um, yeah, I need to create a Facebook page for this account. I'll make the link. It'll be facebook.com/virtual robots revolt. So facebook.com/virtual robots revolt. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And that then we'll have a meeting place. It'll be a Facebook, and I'll have more meeting places after that, so more people can talk to me and get some feedback in on this. Or you can leave me a review on iTunes or something, because now we're on iTunes, yay, and Google Play, hooray! So get some more feedback going on, which would be great. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and let's do this again soon.